When I first heard about love, death, and robots, it was from a clip from an episode titled 3 Robots, about these robots, obviously, exploring the world after some sort of apocalypse. And I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. When I heard there was a full anthology of animated shorts on Netflix that accompanied it, I got even more excited. And when I eventually watched the whole thing, I was kind of disappointed. Folks, are we ever going to get out of this utterly moronic idea that adult only means excessive cursing, nudity, and violence? Because I'm getting kinda sick of it. So many of these shorts are just so goddamn edgy. The first episode is literally called Sony's Edge. You know what else I like in my entertainment? Long, uncomfortable, unnecessary sex scenes. Hey guys, we aren't like any of those silly kiddie cartoons. We have tits. Wow. Before I say anything else, I'm just gonna go through a few of them and explain the things I enjoyed and really didn't enjoy. I'm not going to review all of them because there's like 20 of them. I'm just going to go over the ones I think are noteworthy. Like I said earlier, the first one is called Sony's Edge. It's about these people who live in a cyberpunk world and battle with creatures controlled by their minds. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, wow. Look how far 3D animation has come. It looks kind of realistic. But oh boy, get ready to see this kind of animation again and again and again. The first 2 or 3 times they used it, I was like, fine, it's cool what they can do. But my god, I just got so sick of it after a while. The worst part is a lot of this realistic animation could have been done in live action, and nothing of value would be lost. But I'll get to that later. They meet this British dude who's like, "Oi, can I buy your creature?" And she's like, "Nah." And then he's like, "Well, why not? I'm offering a lot of money." And then one of her team members explains to him that some men abused her in the past, I guess. So she has more of an edge over her opponents. While they're saying this, Tony just steps on a bunch of glass and keeps walking to show how tough she is, I guess. But that's just stupid. You're walking on these grungy-ass floors barefoot with an open wound. The only thing you've shown me is that you're not afraid to get a horrific infection. Then the British dude says,
"I won't press you further. Piece of shit. No, I hope you'll reconsider."
And she just gives him the middle finger. Like, why are you being such a jerk? He wasn't even rude? I get he's an obvious bad guy, but he hasn't actually done anything yet. It's just teenage angst in its purest form. After this point, I couldn't take it as seriously as I wanted to. I'm happy to say that the fight scene was cool, and I like the design of Sony's creature thing. And the violence here is obviously very appropriate, but then we get to a lesbian scene, and I guess I can't find anything plot-wise wrong with it. I just felt like I was watching dimly lit porn, and it wasn't until the lady skewers her head with Wolverine claws that I remembered, oh right, there was a story to this. I forgot. The reveal that her mind is really in the creature is a good reveal. It, thankfully justifies the whole edge thing, because she's actually fighting for her life, which makes a lot more sense. This was the first episode, and it's okay as an introduction into the anthology. It was just really angsty at times. Then we get to the second episode, 3 Robots, or as I like to call it, what at least a third of these should have been like. Like I said before, it's about 3 robots exploring the world after humans have died out. It has well-executed dark humor, the concept is clever, it doesn't rely on nauseating shootouts or confusing fights, it has neat robot designs, and it doesn't need endless cursing and excessive violence to tell you it's adult-oriented. It's just a few comedic scenes of these robots interacting with their environment and with each other, and it's great. It's so simple, but so entertaining, and that's all I wanted. The third one is called The Witness, and it has that kind of realistic 3D animation again, but this time it's far more stylistic. So basically this lady witnesses a murder, and doesn't go immediately to the police, I guess. She calls them, but then she just continues her job at this brothel thing. Alright then. Then they have this kind of gross, long scene, and then they chase each other for a little while, until it's revealed they're in some kind of time loop. Visually, it's very interesting and impressive, But after the story ends, I was left asking myself, what was the point? The fourth one is basically a mech shootout against hordes of aliens, but with farmers. It's enjoyable for the most part, but it doesn't really do anything new, it just goes in the direction you think it's going to go in. I just felt like I was in a video game. Then you have Sucker of Souls, with 2D animation. Wow, I haven't seen that in like a decade. It's violent. I mean, the animation is cool, and it has this awesome sequence when they first meet the creature. After that, it's fairly beat for beat. It's just a simple monster story. Later on, there's Beyond the Tequila Rift. The realistic animation I can understand in this one, because I suppose it would be harder to have the same effects in live action in some scenes, especially during the reveal. There's another long sex scene, and once again, it felt like I was watching porn, until the characters started speaking again, and then I was like, oh right, there's a story, I forgot. Then you have Good Hunting, or as I like to call it, what another third of these should have been like. And it's weird, but certainly one of the better shorts. Basically, there's furries, steampunk, and surprisingly effective world building. And if that's not enough to hook you, I don't know what is. Later, you have Shapeshifters, about werewolf soldiers in Afghanistan. Yes, it's exactly as stupid as it sounds. They have some character development in the first half, and it actually keeps the werewolf part kind of a secret for a while, until it's revealed, which I appreciate, but the end is just Marine werewolf against terrorist werewolf, I guess. And I just did not care. Helping Hand is next, and this is where I was really like, what did we get from this being animated? It's that 3D realistic animation again, and it's a very simple story. There's just one astronaut stuck floating in space, and she has to find a way to get back to her space station thing. We already did this in live action. It was called Gravity. Why did this need to be animated? The only big difference between the two is this one was more gruesome and, well, shorter, obviously. Lucky 13 has more realistic-looking animation. It works as a neat war story, and they're more creative in their fights than other shorts. But again, I kept asking myself, what did we get from this being animated? Next, we have Zima Blue, or as I like to call it, what the last third of these shorts should have been like. It has a really exaggerated, really cool art style. The story is existential and weird, and in some places, oddly comedic. It kind of felt like it was poking fun at contemporary art movements, but that's just my interpretation. This was the kind of sci-fi I was expecting. Later on, you have alternate histories about how the world would have changed if Hitler died in a variety of ways. So I was thinking to myself, oh cool, I get to see some weird historical stuff animated, that should be neat. And it's just a bunch of lol XD so random scenarios. Great, more wasted potential. Even the fake company they created was kind of bland. Between every scenario, you'd get this logo, and wait. What the fuck? Finally, you have The Secret War, and it's easily the worst out of the bunch. It's just another realistic-looking, mindless, and confusing fight against boring demon creatures. Again, it felt like I was in a video game. I skipped over a few of them because they were just so meh, I couldn't think of anything to say. They aren't bad, but they aren't great. Were there some gems in this anthology? Yes. Yes, there was. But out of the 3 I thought were legitimately great, you had 15 that were either okay or just boring. I would have liked to see some shorts less centered around plot. All of these had dialogue, and a lot of it. I would have liked to see one which was just a slow burn, quiet, meditative, because many of these are just loud. One of the biggest strengths about animation is its infinite capacity for visual storytelling, and I feel like that was kind of squandered with all the super realistic 3D stuff. Seriously, why do people keep making things realistic when they really don't need to be? Hell, I wouldn't even care if some of these made any sense. I just wanted some cool visuals at the very least. You get some of that, but not nearly as much as I would have liked. Now, these are the shorts I recommend. Since they aren't connected in any way, you can skip to any of them and it won't make a difference. So here we go. 3 robots. The Witness. Even though its story is lacking, the stylistic animation alone is enough to give it a watch. I would watch Suits if you really like mech stuff. Sucker of Souls, When the Yogurt Took Over is the least meh out of the ones I didn't mention, if that makes any sense. It has a concept I've seen a lot, but its execution is well done and brief. Beyond the Aquila Rift is weird, but fans of horror sci-fi might like that. Good Hunting, definitely. Lucky 13 if you like futuristic war stories. And Zima Blue is a must-see. These are what I think are the better ones, but throughout most I didn't recommend, there are quick moments here and there that are good. None of these I would consider painful to watch, except maybe the last one. Despite all the things I didn't like, I do hope they do a season 2, because more sci-fi animation is a good thing. I just really hope that they go in a more experimental direction and realize you can make adult animation without making it insanely edgy and explicit all the time. We're past the Family Guy days. Come on, folks. Anyway, my name is Solar Sands, and goodbye.